Hi viewers and welcome to the channel and welcome to a modelling session with the Curves Workbench. So I'm going to be modelling this mouse. Now there's been a lot of tutorials on my channel regarding the Curves Workbench and using the tools in there. I'm going to start to bring together those tools and show you how they can be used together. So this one I'm going to be using a Gordon surface, I'm going to be using the drawing curves, and we're going to be tracing two images, the top and the side of this, to create this mouse. You can see I'm just moving these out of the way. I'll move that one. So I've got a top and side here. We're going to learn how to use these to trace the mouse and to produce this end result. This is a two-part video. The first part will be looking at getting the image into the correct position, sketching along the image, and creating the necessary framework to start to produce the Gordon surface and the sweep across two rails. In the second video we'll start to sketch this top piece and also do this mouse button in here and learn how we can extract out parts such as this slice where the actual mouse button sits on a curved surface and how to project sketches upon there to use that as a trimming face. So I hope you're enjoying the channel, and let's get started with this tutorial. If you like this video, please hit a like and also subscribe to the channel. I also have a Ko-Fi site where you can actually donate to my contributions to the community, and that's at ko-fi.com/mang0. So we're going to first import some images. I've already started a new document down here, and we're going to go up to the image workbench, and from there we're going to be using this icon, create a planar image in 3D space, and we're looking for our mouse. And go for the top, open that up. I'm going to place it on the XY plane because that's where our top is. See, we've already got the top selected here, and okay, that our mouse comes in, and now we can scale this to the right size. Now my mouse is 100mm in length, so I'm going to use the scale an image plane by defining two distances, and we select the first point it's asking us, so we select the top of the mouse and we'll see this red line, and we'll select the bottom like so. So we've got that line there, and we're going to place in here 100, and we also need to click on the image plane and hit OK. That should be scaled now, so if I take a measurement across here from here to here, we can see the distance is 100mm. So that's all good. I'm going to leave that distance there, and I'm going to import another image now. So I'm going to import the side view. So create a planar image in 3D space, and we're looking for the mouse side. Open that up, and this one is going to be on a different plane. So this is going to be on the YZ plane. Okay, that. Let's have a look where that's placed that. So that's placed it in the wrong position, because you can see the mouse wheel is here, and on the top the mouse wheel is on the other side. So we've got to reverse this. So I tend to just delete this out and get myself in position. So I'm going to come around to the right, and there's the ZY plane there. And we're going to import it again, and this time reverse the direction. Open that up, and we're looking at the YZ plane and reverse the direction. Bring that in, and if we bring this around now, we can see the mouse pointers there and the mouse pointers up the top there. So they're in the right place. So let's come around to the left. So that's the correct position. We're going to scale this now using the scale image plane, find 2 points. Again, we define the points, type in 100mm, and make sure our image plane is selected, which it is. Okay, that, and you can see the 100mm there is showing across that. So if we give this some angle, we can see we're in the right dimensions. Last thing we've got to do is bring this image up so it sits on top of this plane. What I'm going to do is view my axis cross by coming out to view, toggle axis cross, and we're going to move this image up. So right click, transform, and we'll bring this up so it sits on top of the other image. It's about there. We can use some final nudging on this image plane by coming to placement, position, and then just nudge the Z and get it into position. So that's there now. We're going to rename this one to top and this one to side. So that's our scaling done. We don't need the distance anymore, so that can go. And we've scaled our image ready to go. So we're going to come into the Sketcher. And what we're going to do is create a sketch along the side and along the top, and then create a mixed curve that places that sketch into the correct position. We're interested in this feature here. To sketch this out first, we're going to be placing other curves around here to define the shape. So let's first come into the top, get this into position, and we're going to click on create a new sketch. We're looking on the XY plane along the top, so hit OK. And I'm going to move some of these bars out of the way. So we've got a bit more space. So let's sketch this now. I'm going to be using the B-spline. And there's one thing that I need to do, and it's to come in. I need to anchor against this vertical axis here, because this is where all our sketches will cross and connect up to. And this will be making the connection. So I've got my auto constraints on. As you can see down here, I've got the auto constraints on, and I've connected to that line with a point on object constraint. And we're just going to sketch around this object. When we get towards the bottom, we need to connect up with this vertical axis again. And it's best idea to try to keep this straight on from the last point. So this point here, you can see we're more straight onto there. That makes a better curve when we come to bring in this around here on the mirror. So I'm going to hit escape to get my mouse pointer, and I'm just going to coax these into position by just moving the handlers here. Now those are all in position, we can come out the sketch by hitting close. That's our first sketch done. You can see that sitting there, going around there. We're going to do our next sketch now, and that's going to be on the side. So we're going to be using this side feature, and I'm looking at this, and we want the bottom of this side feature. So this bit here is this bottom of the side feature. So we're going to come around and look at our position, which is ZY. So this is along the left, and we're going to create a sketch along the ZY axis. Make sure nothing's selected. New sketch, ZY or YZ. Remember, we've got to reverse it like before. OK, and we're now in sketch mode. So we're going to sketch along here. We're going to need to bring in some geometry. So I'm going to place an angle on here, and I'm going to bring in this line here that we've just created. Just going to hide the top image so we can see that there. So this is that line. The reason being is that we're going to be using these points here. I've just used the create and edge links for external geometry. We're going to be using these points as guidelines. We're going to be creating lines that are constrained against here and making sure they're vertical, like so. And we're going to be connecting up to these lines using the Create a B-spline in the sketch. Now we're going to start beyond. There's a reason for this, so we're going to start here, and we're going to connect up to that line with a point on object constraint, and we're going to follow through with sketching all the way around. And when we get to here, we're going to connect up to that line again and then click further on and hit escape. Hit escape again, and that'll come out of the sketch. So at the moment, if we look, we've got this line that crosses these two horizontal lines. That's important when we create the mixed curve, because if we look at this, you can see that horizontal line there connects up with it, and the mixed curve will project. So it will project these two lines into 3D space to around about here, and it will actually connect up to our side feature here in the correct space where these two will actually line up. So it's important that we actually cross that line, because if we don't, the projection may miss that line and we only project part of that curve. We'll see that in a minute. We haven't finished with this side curve yet, so I'm going to double click the sketch, and I'm going to come in and turn these two lines, this one here and this one here, into construction geometry. So using this icon here, toggles the toolbar or selected geometry to from construction mode. That means when we come out, we don't see that line. Now what I'm going to do is project these into 3D space. Now to do that, I need the Curves Workbench. And when we're in the Curves Workbench, we need to select those two sketches. So this sketch and this sketch, doesn't matter which way around you select them, but the next part is the important part. We need to create a projection viewpoint. So I'm projecting left at the moment. I can either project left or top, as long as I'm looking down onto one of those two sketches. So we go from top, and we're going to use the tool Mix Curve. So when we click that, what happens is that you will see our sketch has disappeared and our mix curve is sitting there at the moment. So let's click on the mix curve and go to view. Let's bring up the line width so we can see that. So I've brought the line width up, you can see it sitting there. Now it's taken that and placed it over that top sketch. If we bring it into 3D space, you can see it's sitting there. So when we bring this around and select left, you can see that curve has conformed to that shape. We're a bit off there. So this is fully parametric. So I'm just having a look to see where my sketch is. Going to come in, can just alter that sketch slightly. I can pull it up because it's connected to those lines, and I can move these into position. Bring this back down a bit. And we can just move those into position. Just make some finer adjustments in there. If I hit close, what happens is that's recomputed and it still conforms to that shape. That's great. So we've got our first curve in there. I'm going to repeat the process with the top image. This one here. Get rid of that sketch, so I've just hidden that sketch. And the side image. And with this curve that goes along here. So I'm going to go up to the top and repeat the same process. Make sure nothing's selected. Go over to the Sketcher. We'll create a new sketch in the Sketcher. We can see that I've got some of my toolbars missing now. So we can go on the XY plane. Okay, that. I'm just going to bring my toolbars down so I can see what I'm doing. This one here. And the constraints one as well. And we're going to sketch in here. So I'm going to sketch connecting to this line here, this vertical axis. We're going to use the B-spline tool and connect up and do exactly the same thing. And also connect up down to the bottom as well. So those are in position now. So we just need to come out of here and do the same for the side. Still got our mixed curve there. Let's hide that so it doesn't confuse us. And we just added that sketch there, so we need to add the other sketch along the ZY plane. Click left, ZY plane, come up to the new sketch, ZY, YZ plane, reverse the direction, remember, okay that, and we're going to come in and lay down our construction geometry first. So we're looking to sketch along here because we've already sketched this one. So we need to import the sketch that we've just done. This one here, using the create an edge link to external geometry. Come in, pull that in, hit escape to get the mouse pointer back. Select the top image and hide that. And you can see that's been imported in. So we need some lines, so connect up to that line, and I'm going to come up making sure we get a little red line to say we've vertically constrained. And bring that into there. This time I'm going to connect to that point. So you can connect to the line or connect to the point. I'm going to do the same over here. And come up and connect to that point there. So those are in place. We can now use our B-spline tool and start sketching. Remember, starting beyond, coming in, connecting to that point with the auto constraint, and then following the line. And connecting back up and clicking beyond. Hitting escape. Hit escape again to get the mouse pointer back, and if you want to, come in and just alter your B-spline to fit the curve. When you're happy, come back over to task and close that, and now we have our other B-spline in there. But remember to come in and double click on the sketch and make sure you set these to construction geometry. So just click both of those, come up to the toggles the toolbar or select geometry to from construction mode and click on that. Those are in construction mode now. Hit close and you can see that we've got those two features there. So we've created a number of features there, like so. We need to make that into a mixed curve now. So just hide those. Our mixed curve there, which we created, which is hidden. Now select both of those and then select our viewpoint to project. So I'm going to go either top or left. Let's go left this time. And we need to come over to the Curves Workbench. Now let's select those two again because it wouldn't have remembered. Switching workbenches between Sketcher and the curves, if you've got something selected, sometimes it doesn't remember, so it's worth selecting those on the workbench that you're going to use them from. I've got my left view selected already. Come up and create a mixed curve on that. And then we just come in and make those visible so we can see it's all been correctly taken there. And you can see how we've gone past and how this is cut off. So we've projected up from the bottom and it's intersected that line, but this one hasn't been projected at all. This part hasn't been projected, or this part. So that's two mixed curves. Let's bring those in. So we've got one there and one there. And I'm going to lower the size of this shape here. So come into data, go into line width, and just reset that back to normal. So now we've got our shapes ready to go. We've got this shape here, which I'm going to do a sweep across 2 rails upon. And also I'm going to use that to skin the rest of the shape as well. So we're going to create the feature and the bottom part of the mouse with those 2 curves. We're going to create another curve around here now to join up these 2. And also, if we look at the side image, we need to come down here as well and over the top to create the side view of that mouse. Now, one thing I'm going to do is build this up with a number of curves. So where these intersect here and here, I'm going to create a curve here and here and one over the top, and also the same on the other side. The reason being because I need curves to close this feature, and also I need a curve to model the bottom as well. We're going to be using both the sweep across 2 rails and the Gordon surface for this. So we're looking at the object from the left hand side, and I'm going to come over to the Sketch Workbench, and we're going to create a sketch, and it's going to be along the ZY plane, the YZ plane, and make sure it's reversed, and OK that. Now I'm going to hide this image first. So I'm going to hide the side image, and also I'm going to hide these sketches. So those ones are hidden, and inside this mixed curve we still got these ones here. So those are hidden. We're going to import both these lines. This allows us to attach to these points here and also here. Now I'm going to go over to the side image and bring that in. So we can concentrate on this side image. You can see we've got a lot of numbers here. You may have combs, and this is all to do with the Sketch B-spline tools, and we've got show B-spline degrees, combs, etc. on there. So we can actually come in and turn these off just by clicking on them. Like so. So those are all disappeared now. You may just have the comb on, and you'll see that you'll either get a comb here or a few lines. You can see that line has disappeared. So we've got those imported, and we're going to come over to use the B-spline, create B-spline in the sketch, and I'm going to attach myself to the bottom here, the bottom of this line. I'm looking to see where the mouse curves around and touches that bottom. And we're going to sketch all the way around that B-spline and connect up to that point there. Now I'm going to hit escape, and now I've got the B-spline tool back. So I've created one B-spline. This is important. And I'm going to reattach myself to there and sketch around, connecting up to the other B-spline, like so. Again, I'm going to hit escape, and I'm going to move this. So I've created 2 B-splines in here, inside one sketch. I'm going to create another one. So attach up to that line and move our way around here. Again, I'm going to attach up to the line, press escape, reattach myself, that constraint there, you can see it auto constraining, and sketch this one here and auto constrain to this curve. Again, I'm going to hit escape. I've got the B-spline back. If you accidentally hit escape again and get a pointer, then just come out to the B-spline and just connect up to that point and then sketch the remainder. And we're going to connect up to that horizontal constraint there. Hit escape again, and we can do some minor adjustments in here to bring these into position. You can see my sketching is a bit out here, so I've just readjusted this to attach to that point and just curve this off. Once we've finished, we can hit escape and let's see what we've got. So I'm going to hide this, and what we have is a number of curves. You can see that each of these is an edge going around. So sketch 4, bring the line width up like so. You can see as I roll over, they're turning yellow, and each of those are an individual curve. That's important because we're going to be needing these to create these features, and we'll be extracting these out in the Curves Workbench. What I'm going to do is just bring that down slightly, about 4. I'm going to come round and we're going to create a curve for the bottom now. So click on top, just position ourselves. We don't need the top image, so that's not going to help us. What we need to do is find out where these end, and we're in the sketcher. We're going to create a sketch along the XY plane. Okay, that a little bit of angle, and we're going to bring in this top part here, this part that goes around here. So using the create an edge link to external geometry and bring that in. That will bring in those points. Now you can see those points are coming down there. Now I've picked the wrong sketch. I need to pick this part here. So let's escape that and just highlight that one, hit delete. And what we're going to do is just zoom in. And I want this curve here, import this curve. So import on that one, and there's that point there. Let's come over and do the same over here. It's imported that point there. So now we can create our curve across here. I'm going to try using a circle for this one and see what happens. So I'm going to bring this around and have a look to see how that arcs. Now I'm not happy with that, so I'm just going to use an arc. So we come over to the arc tool, this one here, and we're going to use the endpoints and rim point, and we're going to connect up to that point and connect up to the bottom. You can see they're auto constrained there, and we're going to create something like that. We may need to adjust this because this might be a bit too steep to mirror and it may look a bit odd, but we can come in and create a B-spline if we so desire. I'm quite happy where that sits, so that's going to be the bottom of the mouse. Let's close that. That's there, so we've got the top, the sides and the bottom. Before I go any further, I'm going to save this. And we're going to now create a curve that runs around here. And this will be for our Gordon surface. Let's get ourselves in position. And I'm going to come over to the Curves Workbench. So we're going to select a number of curves in here. I'm going to select this one, holding down Control. I'm going to select this one, and then this one down the bottom. From there, I can go to the freehand B-spline, and what happens is our viewpoint is adjusted, and you can see a B-spline has been placed across those. This is what we're going to be using to create our Gordon surface. I can add more in here if I so desire. For instance, I can come in and create B-splines along here to make this more curved. But I'm just going to go with that one for the time being. Come down. You can see the freehand B-spline is here. Double click it, that comes out of edit mode. If I double click it again, then we can adjust these points if we so desire, or even add more points. There is some instruction there. If you need to delete the point, then you click on it and hit delete. That's not actually on the instructions there, but we've got control over how many nodes we add in here. Double click the freehand B-spline and that's all applied. Now I'm going to create a golden surface across here. First we need to take some curves from these sides. So where we've come up and over the top, I'm going to come in and select in here, so that's gone green. Control select the other one, so those are green now, and we're going to use the join curves, and that extracts out a parametric curve from there. We're going to do the same over the other side, so I'm going to select this one and come in and control select this one, and again select the join curves there. We can hide this now, and you can see we've created a network of curves with the bottom, sides, and these two here. We can now create a golden surface by clicking on this sketch here, these two mixed curves, and then selecting the profiles that go across here. We now want to select the creates a surface that skins a network of curves, and it's also called a golden surface because you come up to surfaces and you'll see golden surface there. Click that and that will connect all those up into a surface, like so. So we've got our first surface now. What we're going to do is create this as a solid. Now we could come into the parts workbench and use an offset against here or an extrude, but sometimes depending on how complex this surface is, an offset won't work. So let's try offsetting that, and as you can see this isn't going to offset, so if I click on here and add a 2 into the offset and fill offset and OK, you can see we're going to get an error here. Let's cancel that. We could use an extrude and extrude along the X plane by say 2 millimeters and create that as a solid and OK that, but we're going to be getting some interesting effects here. So you can see we've got the extrusion has gone out this way, which is really no good to us. So just going to make that golden surface visible. What we're going to have to do is create a surface across here, a secondary surface, and attach those up to create a solid. At the moment, if we come into the Curves Workbench, we have this parametric solid here, and if we try to make a solid out of here using this tool, we get a solid here, but you can see it's brown. It's a brown color. Come into the data of that and come down to the bottom, you can see it's created a shell, because that's all we've got at the moment. So let's delete that. What we need to do is duplicate this up and do a bit of scaling on it. So I'm going to click on it and come over to the draft workbench. The tool that I want to use is the clone tool. Some people have said it's on the part workbench as well, but I don't actually have that on the part workbench, so I'm going to have to use it from the draft workbench. But if it's sitting on the part workbench, you can use it from there. And it's the modifications and clone tool, also available from the toolbar, and it looks like this little sheep here. So click on it, I get a clone of that golden surface. Anything I do to that golden surface will be done to the clone. come down, and we've got this scaling here. And I'm going to come in and I'm going to scale the golden surface, the clone of it, to something like 0.95. And I'm going to use that on all of the axes, the X, Y, and Z. And you can see we've made a clone. That's sitting there at the moment. It's still sitting on the bottom, so we're going to need to move this up. So I'm just going to come over to the right and I'm going to come into that golden surface clone, come down to placement, come down to position, looking at the Z, and just nudge this up by a millimeter there. So we can create a surface across here, filling in these surfaces to create this as a solid. Because at the moment it's a shell. Now I've got two shells, connect the boundaries up with the two shells, we get a solid. To do that, I need to come over to the Curves Workbench because I'm going to need to connect up these vertices here between the two. I'm going to click on both these surfaces, come into the view, and I'm going to increase the point size so I can see those vertices. You can see those point sizes have increased now, and this one hasn't for some reason. Let's have a look. Point size there is 6. It has, we just can't see it. So let's bring in those two and increase them a bit more. There we go. They're a lot bigger now and they're easier to select. You can come in and select those. So I'm in the Curves Workbench, and what I'm going to be using is this tool here. This is a parametric line. So you select two vertices and it creates a line between them. This is ideal for surfacing. So I'm going to click that vertex and click this vertex here and create that parametric line across there. And you can see there's a line that's been created across there. I'm going to come out and repeat for all the other vertices. That one and that one. Parametric line, see that line has gone across there, and the same for this side. I can see that my sketch is interfering here, so I'm going to just click on it, come into the golden surface, find that sketch and just hide it. So that's hidden now. So now we can select those. And come up. Now last one. If you see that we've connected up to a small vertex there, that doesn't matter. That's probably because we've got the mixed curve in there. So I'm just going to press the space bar on those mixed curves. And now we can see that join curve is coming in. I'm going to press the space bar on there. And you can see that vertex is highlighted now. So it's well worth coming in and actually hiding everything inside the golden surface before we start. Therefore we can get these easily, like so. And parametric line. So create a line across all of those now. Doesn't matter if it's attached to the surface, the mixed curves, they're all inside that golden surface. It's just a line that we need to use for our surfacing over in the Surface Workbench. So I'm going to come into the Surface Workbench now, and we're going to create a surface across these. It's up to you which surfaces you use. And I'm going to use this one here. Creates a surface from a series of boundary edges. And we're going to click Add Edge. And we're going to click the edge of our golden surface. We can see a surface has been created. Go select these in order. So if I select this edge, I must come to the next edge, which is this parametric line, and then this one here, and then lastly this one. So we've got a pink line that runs all the way around here. Hit OK. That's created a surface there, and we can see that surface. We come down, surface there. Now I've got to repeat that for all those, and that will close that surface. So that's come in, and we're going to do that one now. So come up and select our create a surface, add edge, select the edge, parametric line, select the other edge, come over to the other side and select that parametric line. Okay, that, and we've got two more to create, so I'm just going to do those now. Same process. Let's come in here and do our last surface. You can see we've got a problem at the moment because I've selected the top. So we're going to remove that. And sometimes it's best to just cancel and come in again. Add edge, this one, this bottom edge here, this top edge here, and then come over to the parametric line here. Okay, that. So those are all in place. Now what we've got is these lines, which I'm going to highlight all those lines and hide them. And we've got this surface. So we need all the surfaces and the two golden surfaces. So we've got two shells here of the golden surfaces and the shells for the outside, these shells here. So come over to the Curves Workbench. We're going to be using the parametric solid. This requires us to select the surfaces and the two golden surfaces, so this one here and the other one. And now when we select this, what we should get is when we come down, we get a green shape rather than a brown shape, which is solid. We come down, we can see the shape is solid now. So we have a solid shape that runs all the way along there. What I'm going to do now is create that feature. So I'm going to come round and have a look through, and I want our mixed curves back. So we've got our mixed curves inside that golden surface. We use those to create that surface. Just going to show those again. And click on the golden surface and press spacebar to hide it. That's actually hidden our solid because all the others are invisible. So we've just hidden our solid there. So it can be quite easily to get confused of whereabouts these are. We need to bring in this curve again. So bring in that join curve, which is this side. And also bring in the join curve on the other side. Now, we're going to create a ruled surface across here. We can create them by using these two and creating a ruled surface and then sweep across two rails and using these rails. These curves down the bottom here, because they've gone beyond, may affect it. If it does, what we just need to do is just hide those again. And remember, we used our sketch to create those join curves. So we need to come in and find that sketch, which I believe it's not this one. This is where renaming the sketches come in handy. So I've pulled that sketch back in, and I'm going to use this part of the sketch and make a join curves out of that one, and this part of the sketch and make a join curves out of that one. Now I can click on that sketch and hide it. So we've got the join curves there, and we'll close that shape. Now we can come over to the part, and we're going to create our ruled surface because sweep across two rails needs a ruled surface. So we can use either these two or these two to create it. I'm going to use these two and create our ruled surface across there, and come back into the Curves Workbench and create our sweep across two rails. So I'm going to select this surface here and these two as rails, and we use the sweep profile on two rails. So that's created a sweep across there, so you can see those profiles there. What we need to do is just increase those profiles. So let's go and find that sweep two rails, come in, and we've got the profile samples there and the rail samples. So let's increase the rail samples, something like 50. We can see that's increased those dots along there. So let's decrease that. Let's put that back down to 20. What we need is the profile samples, and increase that to about 50. So we've got more samples that go along there. So let's create this by clicking on sweep two rails and use the approximate points to NURBS curve surface. Click on that, that creates that surface there. If we do have problems with that, if I lower this profile sample to about 20, you can see that's actually taken, and we'll come back in on that sweep two rails, lower this again to about 10. And we can see we're starting to get problems. That's curved over there. So if we've got something like that, or if I lower this to say 10, and we've got some obscure features happening on this, I'm trying to get it so it goes into some kind of error where we have problems with this actually coming off and up into 3D space, but it's not doing it. If we have problems, then we just increase these like 10 and increase this to say 50, and we can get that conforming more to the shape that we so desire. Please remember though that this is a approximate, not an exact. So when we start getting features like this where it's curving up, then it's maybe time to rethink the surface that we're using, or what ruled surface we use to create this. So at the moment I use the surface that went across here. Maybe I need to use the rails to create this, because we have a crease in here. And I'm just increasing these rail samples to see if we can get rid of that crease. So I'm not happy with that, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come into the approximate curve, delete it, get rid of the sweep, and get rid of the ruled surface, go back into the part, and we're going to create a ruled surface against these two this time, like so. That's almost exact actually. Might not even need to create a sweep across there, but I can see that we've got this curve here and it's not conforming to that curve. So I'm going to sweep that over in the Curves Workbench using this ruled surface and these two curves here, and sweep profile across two rails. Got those in there. It's looking much better already. And then sweep two rails, we'll use the approximate points on there. You can see we've got some problems. So this is the kind of effect that I was looking for to show you how to solve. And that just needs to come down to the rails and just increase that to something like 50. And that conforms to that shape. Remember, this is an approximate, so it's not going to be exact. If we try to do another one down here, they're not going to fit exactly. We're going to have issues. You can see that we've got this line here, and you can see it's not actually hugging that line. It's quite jagged along that line, so be careful of that. We can do some modifications in here and look at the proximate curve and look at such things as continuity in here to see if we can get a better effect. But this is the reason why I've chosen to use a golden surface that we've created into a solid. And I'm just going to use this and do an offset against this in the part workbench. Offset that. And 1mm offset's brought that out. I'm going to fill that offset. Hit OK. And we've created that feature that goes along there. So now I want to do is create the top part that comes over here. So far in our modelling, we've tackled this feature along here and this mouse body. We're now going to tackle the top part. So we're going to tackle the top that sits along here, and we're going to be using a sweep across two rails. And also to do this part here, you can see I've got the sketch here, and we're going to learn how to use the trim face in the Curves Workbench to remove this part in here. From there we'll go on to creating the mouse wheel that sits inside and learn how to create this pattern, polar pattern that goes around the side of the mouse wheel for additional grip. So I hope you're enjoying this modelling session. There's a link to video 2 coming up, and we'll carry on in there. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to my site. And also I have a Ko-Fi site where you can actually donate a few pence or a few pounds, dollars, or whatever your currency is. And that's at ko-fi.com/mang0. And there you'll be able to help me fund my site, and all the money that I actually get from any funds will actually get pushed back into the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing. I'll see you next time.